Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready? The champ is here! It's just a man! Give me a hell yeah! What the Rock is cooking? To be the man, you have to be the man! Big bubble pump! It's your hookup! Coffee in the big day.
It's Sunday, and you know what that means. Famcast Media proudly brings to you the latest edition of Working the Marks. And I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist and the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, the professor, Fernando Uribe, and he is New Jersey's premier wrestling analyst, the eternal optimist, and I'll tell you, folks, as debonair and fashionable as it gets in the world of pro wrestling, the PVR superstar, Patrick Rivera, joins us here, folks, this week for Working the Marks. What's up, baby?
You're really starting to sound like you believe it more and more. Every time you say your little intro and you put yourself over at the beginning, you sound more and more convincing every time you hear it. I can tell you've been practicing in the mirror. And yeah, just great to be back here. Hopefully nobody gets accused of digital blackface on here. So please keep your GIF responses race appropriate, okay?
I'll tell you.
No cultural appropriation on this program. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Folks, I'll tell you, Do-Rag Pat spitting truth today.
That's good shit, Fern. That's good shit.
That's what it is. And folks, again, write to us on our email inbox. We love to get emails. workingthemarks@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, of course, on Instagram and Twitter. Shoot us a DM, what you like about our reels. Shout out to D. Rotten, our amazing executive producer that put this show together, and a guy that, you know what, like myself, a great red-blooded American that loves the Rocky series and all those great movies that we've grown up with since we were little kids there. So shout out to D. Rotten.
Those movies suck, man. Those movies fucking suck. No, I'm sorry, bro. It's not even the best boxing movie, man. Everybody talks about all the first 4 Rocky movies and all this stuff, man. Okay, they were pretty good. But all 4 of those movies combined, they don't equal fucking Raging Bull. Raging Bull's a better fucking boxing
How many Raging Bulls were there?
You just needed one, and that was it. That was it. Instead of fucking dragging it out, now Rocky's got a fucking tumor, then Rocky's not in the movie, then Apollo's kids fighting. It's a little fucking tired, all right? Less is more. Less is more. That's all I got to say about that.
I guess Pat doesn't like long-term storytelling for once. I don't know. It's weird, you know. But
no, I like good long-term storytelling, just not fucking overdone. I mean, you know, Rocky's got a tumor. Rocky got the fucking clap. Rocky's going through all this shit. He keeps coming back, you know, and then he fucking fights, and now it's Apollo's kid, fucking Drago, fucking Mo, Larry, Curly. I mean, fucking everybody. They got them all in there.
Hey, listen, before you know, Clubber Lang's kid's going to come out for the challenge of Apollo Creed and Creed 4. But, folks, again, we appreciate you tuning in from wherever and however you're doing so. On Famcast Media, of course, sharing is caring. Take a moment and share the reels on Instagram, on YouTube, on your Facebook. Obviously, as we continue bringing you good content every week here, once again, on Famcast Media. Let's get to the news here. Pat, one of the interesting things this week, arguably, was apparently Phil Brooks, a.k.a. CM Punk, arguably the largest wage earner in AEW history with his contract, apparently got himself into a little bit hot water with an Instagram story that he put out this week, apparently maybe detailing on what the creative was going to be upon his return from injury. It was confirmed that he was recovering from tricep surgery, which we know is it's a very lengthy procedure, and B, it could be a lengthy rehabilitation. So apparently Phil Brooks decided to take the Instagram to air his grievances, threw a lot of people under the bus. But I would argue that the moral of the story here is, and again, we've talked about it off the air, and I talked about it with D before we went on today. You know what? This is a guy who is dying to get out of that locker room, to get out of his deal. And unfortunately, Tony Khan doesn't have the good awareness, business or otherwise, to say, listen, I'm paying a guy $5 million to sit at home, recover, hook up with AJ Lee, play video games, eat out, whatever. Instead of just buying him out for either 50 cents on the dollar or 75 cents on the dollar, and maybe apply a reasonable non-compete clause for whatever amount of time. Cut your losses, because it just seems like the children over in the AEW locker room, Chris Jericho, Matt and Nick Jackson, and Kenny Omega, have no interest in working with this guy. It seems like Jon Moxley doesn't want to work with this guy. You know what? If you're Tony Khan, either sit people down like adults and say, hey, do you want to be bitches or do you want to make money? Or cut your losses, cut ties, and move on. It just seems like this is like hanging in limbo. It doesn't do anybody any good. AEW needs CM Punk. CM Punk doesn't need AEW, and it shows by the ratings.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the program was a lot better when Punk was around. Obviously, there's a difference in philosophies there. I think whether, with Punk or some of the other big players in that company, the Elite, Jericho, Tony Khan himself, Moxley, and I just think that maybe philosophically they're off. Now, you still can't rule out the fact that this might possibly be some kind of work to maybe, have Punk come back and be the guy that jumped the Bucks and do that whole feud and put him in the Blackpool Combat Club, since it seems like Brian's going to be off TV for a little bit. But I doubt that they would do something like that. I mean, it might help, but I don't know if it would be truly sustainable. I just think that it's in Punk's best interest to probably go. The company, they're moving on without him. They're heading in a different direction, and it just seems like the parties here have kind of grown tired of one another, and you can't really see eye to eye. You can't really meet in the middle ground to try and do business, to try and make money, and to try and elevate the profile of All Elite Wrestling. So I find it really, really interesting. And wherever CM Punk goes, he's going to be a big star. He's going to be a guy that's talked about. But for me personally, I'd like to see him go back to WWE. I think that his return there would be something interesting. I think a lot of people have kind of fanned the flames to try and get something like that going. And I think having a guy like CM Punk there would only create more interest, would only equal more money, and would only make the product better. AEW, even if they do this with Punk, even if hypothetically in a long shot this is a work, I just still don't think it's going to be enough, because their problems have gone on way longer than anything else. I mean, like this is structural stuff. This is foundational stuff.
Yep.
Problems that they have. It doesn't seem like there's really a pecking order there outside of booking. Tony Khan doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would put his foot down. And certain talents have, kind of created a culture there that really isn't conducive to a company that's trying to grow its profile. So,
and Pat, it shows, because let's be honest, and me and Dee were talking about this off the air. We can think of 2005 with the real life heat that existed between Adam Copeland, Matt Hardy, Amy Dumas. Okay. And we get it. It was real nuclear heat. It got Matt Hardy fired. Obviously, I think he was recovering from rehab, from surgery or some kind of injury, so it was easy maybe to let him go. But the point was that we saw what it manifested into. And Vince set all the parties down and probably said, listen, I get it. You're mad that he hooked up with your girl while she was on the road, while you were home recovering from injury. Adam was having trouble in his marriage. He was, everyone messed up here, but you know what? We can make this into a really juicy angle. We can make some money. Can we be adults here and work together and make money? And let's be honest, they got SummerSlam out of it. They got a cage match and Unforgiven the next month out of it. Maybe it wasn't like the long-term storytelling that maybe we would have liked, but the bottom line was Vince put his foot down and said, hey, listen, do you guys want to just have this little high school drama, or do you want to make money? And that's what happened. Fast forward to obviously, even in the present time, Tony Khan isn't capable of doing what Vince has done in the past, whether it's sit down with Matt Hardy and Edge, whether it's sitting down with Jim Hellwig in 1996 to come back after everything that happened with the Ultimate Warrior 5 years prior, holding Vince up for money at SummerSlam, coming back. And then
allegedly,
and not honoring his commitments in the summer of 96, which force Vince to fire him again, whatever. The point is that like Vince sat down with people that were difficult or it was a difficult situation and he wanted to make money and he did. Hogan, Warrior, Piper to some extent in 2003 when he came back. Obviously, Phil Brooks in 2011. I mean, maybe that was a work too. The point is that Vince has that awareness as a businessman. I say, you know what? I may not like these people. Okay. Even 2002, when the NWO came back, whatever, you think people in the locker room maybe weren't happy to see Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan return? Who knows? But the bottom line is, let's make money, merch. Let's get figurines, collectibles, post, whatever. Let's make money. Tony Khan doesn't have that awareness to say, hey, Chris, hey, Phil, hey, Matt, Nick, Kenny, I get it. You don't like each other. You think this guy's a scumbag. You think Dave Meltzer sucks. I get all that. But, bro, Tony Khan has to be the CEO of a company and say, you know what? Let's make money. We need to make money.
Tony Khan can't make Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it just seems like Tony Khan, bro, like if again, I get it, he went to the University of Illinois, not the most, illustrious academic school in the Big Ten. I get it, majoring in business, but it just seems like this is common sense. If you watch wrestling, you just know that, hey, let's make money. And it just seems like Tony Khan's like, I don't care. I'm good with what I have. And that's really myopic.
Well, I mean, I think that, history is going to repeat itself here. I think that Tony Khan's going to continue to kind of make the same mistakes. I mean, every time he has a chance to make some money, to make a big splash in pop culture, to try and do something that could be sustainable, aside from the roster of good talent that they have, because they do have good talent, it always goes south for him, man. It always goes south for him because he never does what it is that he could do to make something cool, to make more money, to grow more interest. And it always just seems that he goes the opposite way, in a way that's less lucrative, and that continues to kind of trend that rating number lower and lower as the weeks go by. So look, man, these are foundational issues. You meet your boss gives you perception that they're not to be messed with. You know what I mean? Vince McMahon had that effect. Other bosses have had that effect in the business. It seems like playing friends with these guys, like not being, the boss that he should have been, is kind of coming back to bite him in the backside now. Wrestlers and people in the business, man, they're predatory animals, man. They're sharks. They want blood. They don't care. They'll eat anybody to get ahead, to get to the top of the card, to make the most money. Especially older cats. Younger cats, I don't know. Maybe this new generation seems like it's different, but at the end of the day, man, people will eat each other if it means that they're going to get paid more in wrestling. Becoming friends and becoming buddy with the boys, with the girls, it's not the best thing that you could do as a booker, as a promoter in the business. And I think that, in retrospect, for Tony Khan, you hear me? Tony Khan was a big mistake, But
hey, listen,
hold on a second, friend. I just want to point something out here real quick before it slips here. But everybody's talking about Punk's IG post, right? The whole story thing, what it was about, the contents of all that stuff. But the one thing that I think that people are kind of downplaying, one thing I think people are really truly minimizing in all of this, and believe me, there's our buddy Mark, he would never minimize anything. But the one thing that people are minimizing in all of this is the fact that CM Punk was being asked to work hurt. Okay? He was being asked to work hurt. If that is true, that's a bigger problem than anything else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're showing that you're setting, you're kind of setting this precedent. Maybe it was set even before we even knew about this, that your talent can work injured because you need them to. And your structure and everything that you're doing, your booking and all that stuff, it's not what it should be. You know what I'm saying? In order for them to be able to kind of replace somebody if somebody's injured. So now you're making this guy work injured. And you might have made other people work injured, for all we know, that are probably injured worse. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is alarming, because they're people at the end of the day. And all you people that are listening to the show, that are watching it right now, all you sad and lonely people, okay? Let me tell you something. They are human beings, okay? They're not wind-up boys that go in there that just throw themselves around for your pleasure. They're human beings, man, and they bust their ass to entertain you. And if they're injured, they're injured, and they need to be helped. You know, not put out there, man. Come on, man. That's not what it is.
Well, I mean, listen, and shout out to Mad Dr. Keek here, I guess. Kike?
No, Kick. That's that. No, not that Johnny. Not that Johnny. No, not you, Johnny. Christopher Michael, Johnny. Christopher Michael.
No, but Pat,
the Crow Bizzle.
No, but Pat, you raised a good point, and I think that also.
Not the doctor. Shout out to the doctor, the good doctor, Dr. Stone drums. You know, he was a hell of a musician, one of the best guys out there, and definitely, you know, check it out.
No, definitely.
What's up, doctor?
No, and Pat, you know, you raised a good point about the fact that Punk, again, I think it lends itself to Punk just wants to, I think, expose as much as possible. And again, I think he's trying to force Tony's hand. Like, if Tony's going to let him sit at home and earn $5 million a year and not use him, I think it's almost he's daring Khan to be like, wow, he's kind of spilling some tea here. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe, you know what? I need to cut ties with him. Again, it just seems like Tony doesn't have the awareness as a business person to either A, sit everybody in a room, or cut ties, let Punk continue recovering, and be on his merry way, because it just seems like the adults, not everyone's being an adult in this situation. I think that that's something to definitely look out for, because it may not be the last Instagram post you see from Phil Brooks. On to some other news, and you talked about something that's generational, and I think it really, really lends itself to this topic here. I know that recently on Twitter, Rhea Ripley aired her grievances about how her and other, not just WWE stars, but I think pro wrestling stars in general, how they're overwhelmed at airports and how they're overwhelmed sort of in the public sector when they're out there and meeting fans. And, you know, again, I'm not going to go into the logistics, verbatim, but you got the sense of reading from that tweet. Like, you could almost hear the despair in her voice. Like, I'm just tired. I'm exhausted about this, because it just seems like fans, and maybe to your point, it's a generational thing where maybe there isn't a decorum among wrestling fans, right? We saw obviously some fans, some marks trying to chirp at Kevin Nash after some comments he made concerning Wheeler Yuta's, you know, imagery of being full of blood and comparing that to Austin. And Nash made some comments, and some just disgusting mark online, you know, took a shot at Kevin Nash about his son not watching, just like people aren't watching that television program. And I just thought that, again, I think that what social media, again, I don't want to get overly analytical here, because I do that on my other show, but I think that it really lends itself to like a serious problem when it comes to, I think, decorum, because of social media, because of the internet. And again, I'm not trying to sound like a boomer. Oh my God, the internet's destroyed. No, I'm not saying that. I just think that this social media, I think, is enabling bad behavior by fans, not just in pro wrestling, but in general, whether it's how they approach celebrities on the street, how they approach people they admire. I just think it sets a really bad precedent. The problem is you can't put the genie back in the bottle now, because fans feel emboldened to go up to wrestlers at airports or in the public, just in public, and just be like, oh, right in their face about it. Like you said, they're human beings. They're people too. They're entitled to their privacy. They're entitled to their space. It just seems like a lot of fans lack that awareness.
Give me your damn autograph, fool.
Well, here's the thing, all right? It's kind of like a double-edged sword here, right?
Yeah.
Because on the same token, you've decided to be famous, right? You've decided to be recognizable in some sort of capacity. So you understand that there's a certain level of fandom that comes with this. You know, you understand that, like, people are going to approach you when, you know, you're walking your dog, or when your kid threw up on the side of the road, or, you know, when you're coming out of a liquor store, or when you're hungover, you know, like, it's part of the job in a way. But wrestling fans and marks in general are a whole other animal, man. And I'm not talking about, like, you know, I'm not talking about your marks that like, you know, like good wrestling and stuff like that, technical wrestling and stuff. Like, they're fine. Like, the ones that have jobs, families, like, you know, they get laid and all that stuff, you know, like those kind of people, they're fine. I'm talking about the basement dwellers, the neckbeard, the ones that they couldn't get near like a fucking black light whatsoever. You know what I mean? like that. Those types of marks, the ones that you could smell them about a block away. You know, those are the dudes that are going.
Which, Pat, by the way, I'll let you finish real quick, but it reminds me of yesterday. My cousin Dan and I went to a expo at the Westin Hotel right by Grand Central Station. Yeah, we got to meet Mandy Rose, but it was sort of an all-encompassing expo because you had former Playboy Playmates, you had former NBA stars, but despite that, like walking through the hallways, like you knew there was a distinct smell in the air. And it was for me like, oh my God, I feel so awful for whether it's Mandy Rose or these Playmates that are there signing autographs, taking photo ops with people. And I could see it right there. I went up to Mandy Rose. I was like, hey, Amanda, pleasure to meet you. You know, keep up the good work. Looked at her fiance, hey, Tino, congratulations to you. Whatever.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, hey. So waking up next to that, there's worse things. But like you could see fans behind me on the line that you could just tell they were like, and I said this to Pat D, you know, off the air, I think today or yesterday. I said there were people that were like, oh, isn't she doing like a swimsuit photo op? And I'm thinking to myself, yo, her grandfather just passed this week. Like, really?
Oh,
like,
they don't care, dude.
Her grandfather just passed this week. I'm like, have some awareness here. Like, what's going on here? Like, yo, you should be lucky she didn't cancel altogether because I get it. She's not contractually obligated to WWE anymore, so maybe she really needs the money more now with these meet and greets. But I'm like, yo, her grandfather just died. I mean, just to have that awareness and to be in that mental state, like, you know what, I'm going to fulfill this obligation contractually, go to meet and greet. Bro, she must have been suffering inside. She must be like, yo, I can't believe I had to leave awake to go to this. And, bro, there were some disgusting looking. Again, I'm not saying that I'm the most handsome guy out there. Well, maybe. But, I mean, like, there were some hideous looking people online who you could tell have not showered.
How was that smell? What kind of was it like in the gym smell?
It was bad BO. It was like
Booger-eaters.
It's like you haven't washed your hair. It's like you have a beard and you haven't washed it thoroughly with soap or whatever. It was really disgusting, D. Like, honestly, to Pat's point. I'm sorry, Pat.
No, nothing, bro. I'm just saying that these people are fucking weirdos and shit like that. And I understand that, like, a lot of these dudes, you know, like, they're a bunch of, like, you know, they pick their nose and all that stuff. They're gross as hell. Like, I understand that a lot of these dudes, like, they just want to get their shit signed. And this is the only way that they could do it. Maybe they can't afford access and stuff like that. But, like, there's a difference when you're, like, going there to, like, meet them, or you're waiting outside the arena to meet them, or, you know, you want them to sign your shit because you're a huge fan. Because, look, man, a lot of these wrestlers, their stories, their stuff, they resonate with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, man. That's the whole thing. We all have this interaction. We resonate with the character, and, you know, that's kind of just what it is. But these cats, man, I mean, this shit's been going on forever. This shit's been going on since, like, the 80s, dude. But some of these dudes now, they get a little overboard because they want you to sign, like 50 things all at once. You know what I'm saying? I once knew a very despicable, hideous looking fellow. I'm sure you know who I'm speaking of. And he was someone who would go to the airport with a variety of different gimmicks, and he would harass these people into signing things for him. And it's so funny because I'm actually we were talking about CM Punk before. He and CM Punk had some major heat, and CM Punk took his gimmick that he wanted him to sign, and he pretended like he was going to sign for him. And then he walked with it and threw it in the garbage. And then he cursed him out and told him, I think it was like Raw 1000 or something. He's like, you know, I hope Cena breaks your neck or something, I think he said to him. But, you know, that type of stuff, very unnecessary. Why? Because he doesn't want to sign your fucking gimmick? Well, maybe don't be a dirtbag. Maybe don't fucking be everywhere he is when he's getting off a fucking 6-hour flight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe give this guy some fucking space to breathe because, again, they are human beings.
I love,
you know what I'm saying?
More now. I love him more.
So you know, it's just like people need to have some sense of chill. They need to know when to do things, when not to do things. Some fucking awareness. That'll go a long way. And maybe you'll get your gimmicks signed. Maybe if you're nice, maybe they will sign your fucking gimmicks. But if you're gonna be a fucking weirdo, and this goes for any walk of life, don't expect people to be fucking receptive. That's all.
That you're absolutely right on that. And I think it's a lesson that not just pro wrestling fans, I think people in general, like if you're meeting a celebrity of any kind, like, again, have some decorum. You don't know, especially in an airport. I don't know about you. Traveling's a pain in the ass. So the last thing, whether it's a 2-hour flight or a 5-hour flight, like more times than not, if you're flying commercial, it's not comfortable. You're probably not in the best of moods. Have some awareness. Hi, good morning, Mr. Miss So-and-so. Hey, I'm a big fan of yours. You know what? I love your work. Please stay healthy. Hey, listen, if it's okay, can I just have a selfie with you? 9 times out of 10, I would theorize that if you come up with that sort of like respectful and, cordial type of approach, I think someone, unless they're just in a completely foul mood or they're just menstruating or whatever, they're going to be cordial and amicable with you. But if you just go up to them and just like, hey, like that, just, again, it's mind-boggling to me. If you're a kid and you don't have that awareness, and again, you're not adolescent, you haven't emotionally matured yet, that's one thing. But if you're a grown-ass man or woman that's still engaged in this behavior, I'm sorry, like that's where people judge wrestling fans. And that's why they say, oh, look at these disgusting guys with sweatpants, or like you could tell the sweat marks on them. Like that comes from somewhere. Again, I'm not saying I'm all about encouraging stereotyping, because I'm above that. But I'm just saying, like, it comes from somewhere, because wrestling fans have created this climate, Pat.
Dude, they're despicable. A lot of them do it to themselves. That's it, bro. They're fucking weirdos. And that's really it, man. And I just think that wrestlers just have to be careful. Talent have to be careful. And they need to just kind of approach things a certain fucking way. That's it, man. It's like stalkers happen everywhere, man. But, what are you going to fucking do? You know what I'm saying? What are you going to fucking do? They've been saying it for a while that they don't want people doing it. They do, But I mean, like,
Rey Mysterio said that Vince doesn't want them signing no more, unless they're contracted to.
Yeah, which I think makes sense. Which makes sense, and I'm sure that Paul and Nick Khan and Stephanie have continued that policy from when Vince was in charge.
But here's something interesting too. How many little kids were there? Because I bet you if little kids were there, he would sign.
There was none, but it was grown men in the airport.
Okay, exactly. It's fucking grown men. They got the fucking Funko Pop shit fucking like all collapsed. They got like about fucking 25 of them stacked so that Ray could just put his fucking signature on it.
Yes, sir.
They're doing it for fucking profit, bro. Yeah, they're doing it for profit.
It really is terrible. And again, I'm just hoping fans' behavior can improve, but it doesn't seem like it's going to. Other news here this week, Ronda Rousey took to Instagram to publicly shame and slam the WWE's women's division booking. So obviously here in January of last year, Ronda Rousey made a return to WWE at the Royal Rumble, winning the Rumble match and obviously eventually beating Charlotte Flair. I mean, she lost her last year during WrestleMania, and then the next month at Backlash, she beat Charlotte Flair in an I Quit match. Obviously, during that time, later in the summer, Liv Morgan, after winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashed in on her and beat her. She goes on to say, quote, imagine what our at You Only Live Once feud, that's Liv Morgan's Twitter handle, could have been if we weren't hamstrung by a bunch of octogenarians who still think that they know how to be hip while putting less than 5 minutes of thought a week into each woman's storyline. Hashtag Ronda on the road. Ronda Rousey set the team up with Shayna Baszler this coming weekend in a four-way bout WrestleMania Showcase match. It seems like she's been getting some clapback online though about being this overly critical of booking when it comes to the women's division. And again, for someone that's benefited from really strong booking, it's not like Ronda's ever been made to look weak or anything. I would just say that I don't want to say this is short-sighted by her, but I just think it's funny that maybe she can be allowed to get away with this and say this openly. I can't imagine anybody else contractually obligated is going to be able to say this openly and be this critical about booking.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, man. Far be it from me, just like our buddy Marky, to really, not like anything that's short-sighted. You know what I'm saying? All short-sighted stuff, Mark's not really into that. Woo! But Ronda, I think is just kind of
one day Marky Mendez is he's gonna walk up to you on Park Avenue and he's going to drop you. I'm telling you, I'm afraid for you.
Why would he? No, but why would he? Why would he? Why would he? Why would you be afraid for me? What are you talking about, dude? I'm shouting him out on here. There you go again, stirring the pot. You know?
I'm just saying.
What do you call yourself? The weapon of mass destruction in New Jersey?
It's time.
Unbelievable, dude.
I'm
what disruption? There you go. You're disrupting this show. You're not looking out for my well-being because he's not going to fucking attack me. You know? He's not going to attack me, man.
Be careful. Right? One day he might come up to you like Butch did to Xavier Woods.
Why would he, though? Why would he? I'm shouting him out. You're making it negative, man. There you are disrupting things, disrupting our show. You know, Mr. Top 100 Latino.
He's going to give you a small package.
You Latino.
That's great. That's great, Dave. That's great.
No, Marky was actually, dude, there's a lot of things. He and I was managing him for a little while. At one point, he was going to do a Lex Luger gimmick, and he was going to be called the Partial Package Mark Luger.
Oh my God! Swear to God!
But that fell through. You know but that's what happens when people try to shortchange you. So, anyways, enough of all this stuff. Yes. I'm not going to get into this. Yes, that's right. He is the best trainer money could buy. Okay, I'm serious, bro. The amount, like we used to go to the park. He would have me pick up boulders. He would have me do stuff like that. Then we would punch meat. He would get like a big thing of chuck, and I would throw punches at it. And he would have me do knuckle push-ups and stuff like that. All types of things. Dime stack. We used to do dime stack dips, where we would stack up a bunch of dimes, and then we would do dips. And then he had me on the Mr. T diet. It was tuna and water. So, anyways, I'm not going to get into that. Because every dollar is well spent. Why are you instigating something? Why are you instigating something? Dude, let me tell you something. This guy agrees with you about a lot of stuff, okay? Small business. Weren't you Mr. Small Business? Marky's Mr. Small Business. He's the one dude that's been advocating for Cooper Place to come back. The one dude.
Oh, my God. All I know is I'm gonna see Pat walking out of Cortaditos on Park Avenue. All of a sudden, you just see like a street fighter. You just see a foot coming, like boom. That's it.
He's gonna give you a jumping uppercut.
Yeah, because you're instigating it. Because you're instigating it. You're instigating it because that's what you're good at, Uribe. That's what you're good at. That's what you do, Uribe. You stir the pot. You stir the drink.
There he goes. There he goes imitating Mark's voice now. Jesus Christ.
World-class piece of trash, right? You're a world-class piece of trash sometimes, Uribe. Top 100 Latino, my ass. That's my ass, baby. All right? Anyway, moving on. After you disrupted the show, all right? Spinning heel kick to the solar plexus, yeah.
That's great. He's going to level you.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's it.
Real funny, man.
Sorry.
Provoking violence between me and a longtime friend.
Back to Ronda Rousey.
A pal and a confidant. But anyways, getting back to Ronda Rousey. Ronda's doing what Ronda does. She stirs shit up, man. She gets interest, man. Come on, man. We've seen this before. I mean, she also has the latitude. She also has the freedom to do that. I don't think anybody else really could on the women's division be that outspoken and be critical. She's a fucking draw. She's a draw for the men and the women, dude. She's one of the biggest draws in the company.
No, she's not, dude. Please don't give her that. Don't give her that.
How is she not?
Dude,
how is she not?
She's as boring as a fucking snail going up a wall.
Who cares, though? She still checks off the boxes and the metrics that matter. She's not for you. You know what I'm saying? That's all it really is. She's not for you.
Nah, Shayna Baszler's for me.
Shayna Baszler is great. Shayna Baszler is awesome, and that's why I think they paired them together. But Ronda's a star. Ronda gets attention. Ronda can hold her own, dude.
No, Pat's right. I mean, again, Ronda checks off every box possible about metrics, merch.
Really?
Well, I think so. Social media engagement. But I think, again, listen, you have someone like this under contract. You clearly made a conscious decision to go in a different direction when it comes to Becky, when it comes to Charlotte, when it comes to certain stars, and who you're going to feature come WrestleMania time. So I think that Paul made a decision and said, listen, going back to last summer, okay, Liv was really hot. She was really over. She's still over, obviously.
Oh,
but she was really over.
She's still hot.
Yeah, literally. She was over. They put the belt on her for a little bit. Okay, it served, again, that storyline served its purpose. Okay. Ronda, you have her on the roster. You just can't have her wallowing there without something to do. Now, again, I know a lot of marks are bitching and moaning about the showcase matches for the men and the women. Well, why are we putting these people out there? You have to use them. And Ronda, again, is a name, to Pat's point. She's a name. Listen, I was there in Philadelphia with my cousin Danny during the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. After Asuka won and then Ronda Rousey debuted, she pointed the WrestleMania sign, whatever. She got a good pop in Philadelphia, okay? Now, if you had to ask me the totality of Ronda Rousey's career in WWE, how I would grade it, it hasn't always been for me, but that's not who WWE's catering to. They're tailoring it to young women to empower girls and say, hey, you know what? Look at Ronda Rousey. Look at Shayna Baszler. Look at what Liv Morgan's doing. Look at what all these Bianca Belair. Look at what all these women are doing. And guess what? You're empowering. You're going to, from a marketing perspective, get eyes on your product. Again, it's not for me. I don't like Ronda Rousey personally. I think her promos have gotten a little bit better since she became a heel. But whenever she's on TV, I just go to the kitchen or get something to drink. Like, it's not for me, but that's not what the metrics tell us. The metrics tell us that she's a star. She's a name. So to Pat's point, she still draws. Now, did Paul drop the ball by not maybe keeping the belt on her and maybe featuring her against Becky this year? I don't know. That's debatable, but clearly they have to use her in some way.
Whatever Ronda does, she's going to get attention. People don't have to like it. People are going to critique it. Of course, it's a bunch of people that ain't never fucking done it before. Those are the ones that critique the most. You know what I'm saying? But she's a star. People are talking about it. She's doing what she always does. That's it. She's doing what they always does. And WWE, WWE is set up to take somebody like Ronda, who's green in some senses, and isn't the best, and make her look formidable, man. Make her look like a fucking star too. So, yeah, man. I think Ronda creates a little excitement.
No. Listen, she definitely does, and I think it'll be interesting to see how her and Shayna Baszler fare coming up in the showcase match for the women's division this weekend at WrestleMania, which we'll get to in a little bit later when we do our predictions for the card itself. Pat, one last thing here. Obviously, in the news cycle, it's interesting where it seems like a lot of different pro wrestling journalists are sort of making the rounds on different shows, and I think some are getting some vitriol, some are getting some clapback, some are getting praise, some are getting backlash. It seems whether it's Billy Body, whether
WrestleMania backlash or just regular backlash.
Regular backlash. It seems like different journalists, dude, are, for whatever reason, I don't know, man. It just seems like there's this competition to be more bombastic than the day before, or to sort of stand out from your peers in the field. Now, again, it's hard for me to sort of quantify someone like Billy Body and someone like Meltzer, someone like Alvarez, someone like Sean Ross Sapp, someone like Wade Keller, because, yeah, they're in the same bowl, but I hate to tell people they're very different ingredients.
Yeah, they're very different ingredients. I mean, like the people that are like more pro AEW, that the people that are more like pro like foreign wrestling and stuff like that, that a lot of them generally hate WWE and stuff like that. I think also, again, it's the beauty about wrestling now is that there's so much of it. There's so much of it. And there's something for everything. I don't know. I sent you that clip earlier about that death match. That was something else. There was a man in XPW last night that had a skewer go through his penis, and deathmatch wrestling in itself is pretty fucking crazy. But that's something that I don't know, man. I just think that you got to draw a line fucking somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You got to draw a line somewhere. And for me, man, the skewers in the face and stuff like that, that was something else. But
What was it, Moxley? Was it Moxley?
I don't know. It was the fucking J, bro. And I saw it once, and that was enough. I sent it to Uribe because I was like, this is fucking psychotic. And he saw it. But, hey, man, if you're into that, that's fine. That's great. You got your niche. You got your thing,
Yeah, he got his thing.
But yeah, dude, I mean, I don't understand, like, because deathmatch wrestling's pretty fucking crazy as it is, okay? And again, putting the skewers, putting the needles in their cheeks and stuff like that, and just jamming it on their forehead. It just, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I really don't know, like, what that's about.
It's not for me. I mean, I'll watch it if it's on, but I don't go out of, again, and I watch all kind of wrestling. I'm a big Impact fan. I watch NWA. I watch WWE. I watch AEW. I'll watch Ring of Honor. I mean, I like it all. I'll watch it. But there's just something about deathmatch wrestling, like, okay. And listen, the Dark Side of the Ring documentary on Nick Gage probably didn't do any service to him or that industry. But you said it perfectly. Like, it scratches an itch for somebody, not me. But there's clearly thousands of people that go to Atlantic City, that go to Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City, that go other places around the country for deathmatch wrestling. It's not for me, but clearly it makes some money or it attracts some people for it. And again, I'm not a clinician. I'm not qualified to make a diagnosis of anybody, but I would just say, like, hey, maybe you just like that brand of violence. Good for you. It's not for me, though.
No, it's not for me either. But again, it's the people that like it, it's there for them. You and I talked about this earlier in the week, and I gotta be honest, man. I would love to see a Herb Abrams biopic with Jonah Hill as Herb Abrams. I think he would win an Oscar. Now's the time, I think, for it more than ever. You have the Kerry Von Erich, or the Von Erich movie that's coming out soon. You got Young Rock. You got the Nick Gage stuff, the documentary and all that stuff that came out. You had The Wrestler. Why not do something about Herb Abrams? You heard it here on Working the Marks, folks. I'm advocating for it. Herb Abrams biopic starring Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill will win the Oscar for Best Actor.
Let's do it.
If The Wolf of Wall Street is anything to go by, okay, Herb Abrams will be a walk in the park for him. So, yeah, I'd like to see something like that. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's interesting, man. It's an interesting time for wrestling. I think it's cool that there's so much shit out there. Unfortunately, though, a lot of like the fans, like there's a weird tribalism there that's quite toxic. And I remember back in the day, and I'm sure you do. You remember when the world went from black and white to color and stuff like that. And, you remember that wrestling fans were not like that. There was people that liked WCW. There was people that liked WWF. There was people that liked ECW, NWA, Smoky Mountain, Japanese fucking wrestling, All Japan, New Japan. There was people that liked everything, everything. Big Japan, AAA, CMLL. And everybody was passionate about their thing. But, like, at the end of the day, it was all wrestling. We all like this fucking niche thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's, I think, what united fans. So all you fans out there, we need to unite again as wrestling fans. We need to stop this division, okay? We need to come together right now, not over me, but over all of the wrestling fans, okay? Thank you. Patrick, 2024, Do-Rag Pat, 316. Says wrestling fans come together. Now, here comes the next 20 minutes where I shit all over AEW and that. No, I'm just kidding.
No, true. Well said. One last thing here in the news cycle, though, Pat. Vice reporting, obviously production has already started. It's maybe somewhere near mid-completion right now. A new season of Dark Side of the Ring will be returning. And thus far, the three big names advertised for the new season, for season 4, are going to be Bam Bam Bigelow, Mike Awesome, and Abdullah the Butcher. I think 3 really different Two very tragic stories there. Certainly, listen, we've had this debate off the air, and I think we've talked about it before. As a fan that, as Red Books watched Beyond the Mat in 2001, I think, obviously, is watching stuff on YouTube, which, by the way, now, folks, YouTube has just become as fucking egregious as Peacock with the ads. It's so insufferable now. Like, you can't watch Cornette or Bischoff or Keep It at 100 without 57 ads on YouTube. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like, I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to pay for YouTube Premium.
So let's get these subscribers up so we could do it too.
I swear to God, it's unbelievable.
Bro, stop crying about it and just update your subscription. It's that simple. What is so hard about upgrading your fucking subscription?
You're Mr. Weehawk and hook it up with the username and password, son.
No. What are you gonna fucking trade me for incense and myrrh? Is that what you're gonna fucking do? Like tobacco, a fucking bale of tobacco? Like,
I'll barter
come
something,
on, bro.
It's
2023. You got a fucking orange tree in your backyard or something? Like, maybe we could talk.
But YouTube is
get out of here.
YouTube is getting as bad now as anything with ads. I mean, it's getting really
whatever.
It is bad.
Whatever.
It takes.
They're gonna start putting ads on the toilet paper next. You know what I mean? Fucking ad.
It's unbelievable. But the Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, obviously, look at these names. I'm sure there'll be other names added. Listen, as a worker, I get why you don't like it, but as a mark, like, I've liked the interviews, I've liked the behind the scenes stuff. That I think, let's be honest, like, watching Dark Side of the Ring has been educational for us that didn't work in the business. I think it's been insightful. Now, has it blurred the lines of, like, listen, can we have something to be? Can we keep something sanctity? Can we keep the sanctity of something? Can we not, like, just reveal all our eggs in one basket? I get all that. But I like Dark Side of the Ring. I like the spinoffs, the Dark Side of Comedy. I like Dark Side of the 90s. Those are really, really good episodes of, like, different things about how good the 90s were in different genres and different forms of entertainment. Even Dark Side of Football. But I like Dark Side of the Ring. Again, to me, it's been informative. I know you don't like it as a worker, but I think it serves its purpose, though.
Oh, all right. Well, that was really informative, dude. Thanks. That was so insightful.
I can't with Pat. I can't. I can't.
Thank you for sharing with everyone, Fernando. That's nice.
Listen, I get it. You're a worker. It's not something you don't like, that line being blurred with behind the curtain. I get it. I respect it.
You know what it is? It kind of adds to the whole fucking, marks who think they know more than the people who've actually been in the fucking business.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It kind of, like, emboldens people to feel some type of way without having an understanding of, like, there's a code, man. There's a code for wrestlers. There's a code for talent, like, and it's a respect thing. And I just feel that, like, this helps embolden people to go out and to disrespect people that have been in the business and people that have paid their dues, and people that have entertained them and broken their bodies to entertain them. And that's why I'm not a big fan of that. But I'm glad you enjoy it, and you and your pals can talk about it, and everybody else and their pals can talk about it. But I won't watch it.
No, it's totally fair. Let's get to the ratings this week here, man. Raw peaked at 1.77 million, up slightly from the week before. As we're just approaching WrestleMania weekend, last few Monday Night Raws, March 20th, 1.77, March 13th, 1.705, March 6th, 1.830, and then going back to February 27th, 1.77. It's where it's going to be at, man. It's springtime. NBA conference schedules are heating up. We're approaching the end of the regular season. Also in the NHL, shout out to our New Jersey Devils, clinching a playoff berth, beating the Senators. So we'll see where they finish in the rankings. Obviously, everyone's very excited about March Madness, even though the games aren't being played on Mondays per se, but still there's a lot of, interest in it. Regular primetime TV, primetime cable news, all that. It's where it's supposed to be, man. Again, I think it's a strong number for what what was, again, another strong showing on Monday.
Yeah, dude. I mean, these numbers are kind of trending the right way. And we obviously know that this is, the time of the season where it's WrestleMania season. People are going to tune in. And here's another thing that I think, you and I have talked about this off the air as well. People watch TV differently, man. People will not sit there and tune in for all 3 hours. People will tune in for the start. They'll check it out. They'll see what's going on. If the next segment doesn't really catch them, they'll go away. They'll watch something else. They'll watch some political stuff. They'll watch sports. They'll watch some sitcom or some fucking reality TV show, and they'll go and they'll watch that stuff, or they'll play video games, or they'll have a drink, or whatever. They'll have a smoke, what, and they'll do everything else, what, and people will come back and they'll watch the segments that they're interested in, and then they'll go and they'll watch the other stuff, and then they'll come back. Nobody really sits through the full 3 hours, man. There's very, very few people, I think, that really sit through the full 3 hours. And the numbers, the quarterlies kind of reflect that. Like, if you look at, like, all of the breakdowns, like every, 15 minutes or so, stuff like that, like, you start looking at everything. You start looking at, the half hour, the hour, the final segment, the opening segment. You start looking at the ratings and the way they break everything down as statistics. You kind of start to see that it's a trend where people will watch and then they'll change it. And then they'll come back and then they'll change it. And then they'll come back and then they'll change it. And, that's just kind of how it's going to go. But everybody knows, and anybody that's going to watch that program, whether they're casual or hardcore, know that this is the time of the year to be watching the program because it's leading up to WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, with WrestleMania coming up this weekend, we know that the Raw next Monday after Mania is always a pretty good spike. I'm sure it'll be in the 2s. Again, you said it perfectly. We've talked about it on this program before. Television consumption has changed dramatically. Streaming. Again, to your point where I'll start watching Raw in the beginning. If that opening segment's good, I'll keep watching. If not, I'll switch over to watch Tucker, or I'll watch CNN, or I'll put on, maybe there's an NBA game, right? Or an NHL game. Who knows? Listen, baseball season returns this week, okay? And as inept as our Yankees are probably going to be, I'll be tuning in to watch the Yankees.
No. Don't say as inept as our Yankees. It's if you're gonna insult them, they're your Yankees. Okay. I'm gonna put them over. I'm excited for baseball. I'm happy for baseball to be back. Okay, I'm blessed. I've seen 5 World Series in my lifetime.
No, listen, okay? I'm with you.
The Yanks. We're trending in a good direction. But anyways, we'll talk about that some other time. That's not for this show. But yeah, there's tons and tons of things to watch on TV, man. There's so many good things that are on besides wrestling that you can switch the channel, you can come back, you can do all this other stuff. So, these numbers are going to continue to trend this way. I am not surprised by this whatsoever. What other numbers do you have for us there, Fern?
So moving on to Wednesday for Dynamite. Speaking about stuff that's not good on TV, this past week's Dynamite did experience a spike a little bit. They had 954,000 viewers this past week, up from the previous week, March 15th, of 852,000, an abysmal number. March 8th was 858,000. March 1st was 833,000. Again, as we're trying to move towards Double or Nothing in Las Vegas during Memorial Day weekend, it seems like, you don't have MJF, your world champion, on, which doesn't make sense. You're supposed to have your world champion on as often as possible. If he's the draw that he's supposed to be, he should be on every week. But you started seeing just some, the booking's just bad by Tony Khan, and we've talked about it. And again, 954,000, that's the number, it's only peaked, I believe, once this year. And unfortunately, twice. But the last time it peaked at over 1 million was because of the Jay Briscoe tribute. And that was because of the match at the end. It wasn't like there were testimonials during the show about Jay Briscoe. Like, if you've grown up watching WWE programming, you've seen that when there's been a passing in the wrestling community, especially on the roster, you'll have a lot of sort of interviews or people sitting down for a segment, sharing their memories of the deceased. And that's great. Pretty much like that Jay Briscoe tribute show was just like, oh, his brother Mark wrestling at the end. But there wasn't like this overwhelming sentimental demonstration during the programming. There wasn't a good, again, bad television production, but what else is new with AEW? I don't know if Pat's still with me there, but
yeah, I just think that they're in a situation where it's kind of like redundant. Like that's been my big complaint from him. He gets a lot of fucking cheap heat. Everybody waits for the fucking zinger. The shtick's kind of tired. And I think that he needs to be a little bit more inventive. Like he needs to kind of try and figure something else out. He's a creative dude. I thought the bar mitzvah shit was fucking hilarious. The bar mitzvah. I thought that was good. That segment was actually decent. You can see that Darby's definitely growing more in confidence in his promos. He sounded actually really great there. Jungle Juan, he's kind of just like still just, I don't know, man. It's like I'm expecting more from him, man. Like, it's fucking Luke Perry's kid. He should be a little bit better. And Sammy Guevara, aka the modern day Mark Mero, he's just, I don't know. He's Sammy Guevara. He's funny, but yeah, dude. I mean, I just think that they need to kind of be a little more creative, a little more inventive with MJF. They need to kind of figure out something different other than just the same shtick. He has to evolve as a character. I'm not a big fucking fan of the whole wannabe Ric Flair thing. I think that shit's like a played out trope in wrestling. It's like you could borrow from him. As a matter of fact, when I hung out with the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, we drank, no big deal. And Rick bought me a drink, and I asked him about that. I asked him, hey, how do you feel about people, that mark out for you and stuff like that, kind of like impersonate you? And he was just like, well, it's flattering. He's like, but, it's important to always be yourself. You can borrow from people. He's like, I borrowed from people, but I turned it into my own thing. And, that's the important thing. And I think the best guys in the business are the ones that borrow from people and they put it together and they make it a wonderful fucking stew. So I'd just like to see a little more creativity from MJF. Even with the cheap heat and the zingers thing, whatever, just keep, he could keep doing that. I'd like to see him kind of move away from it more. I'd like to see what he could do. I'd like to see how creative he could fucking be, because cheap heat's cheap heat. You could walk into a room, you could flip somebody off. That's always going to fucking get cheap heat. You can cuss, you can do all this stuff, you could cuss on a rough, naked, and people are, that's cheap heat. That's cheap heat. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, let's see a little bit more from MJF, a little more creativity. And I think with that, I think AEW could do a little bit better because he's a good talent. He's a good talent. Right now, you know who I think's better than him? You know who I think's better than him? I told you before, Fernando. Dom Mysterio, man. Dom Mysterio right now, to me, is a better talent on TV and a better heel than MJF. And he don't have to cuss. You don't have to get the cheap heat. You don't have to do that.
He did time, bro. He did time.
You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. And it's one of the best long-term stories. And you look at the numbers, I'm sure you could look up those numbers, okay? For the views, for the social media, for that clip of Dom Mysterio getting popped by the legendary Rey Mysterio. I mean, that right there, man. I mean, that's good shit, man. That's good shit. And it's not cheap heat. And Dom's coming out there and he's been building it over a little bit over time. But to me, I think right now he's better and he's a better heel and he's a bigger heel than MJF is, No,
he totally is. And speaking of Dom Mysterio, obviously on SmackDown, the numbers are not in from Friday, but to no one's surprise, SmackDown continues to keep doing great numbers. Obviously on St. Patrick's Day, 2.258.
Wait, what day? What day was that?
On St. Patricio Day.
No. Patrick's, man. Come on, man. Patrick's. You all right? Get it right.
On St. Patrick's Day, 2.258. The rest of March 10th, 2.32. March 3rd, 2.45. I mean, again, obviously, we saw this past Friday, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have an engagement there during the KO show. The reveal of a new T-shirt. What a surprise. More merch. More merch money coming WWE's way, folks, with WrestleZania and the KO Mania on the same shirt. So, again, a great segment. The Usos jumping them, leading them lane. Again, building that anticipation of their match coming up during this WrestleMania weekend. Good traffic as always for SmackDown. To your point about Dom Mysterio, I mean, listen, that pop on Friday, I mean, that building, certainly it's not the T-Mobile Center in Las Vegas, but the MGM Grand can hold, I think, somewhere between 10 to 12,000 people. But let me tell you something. If you were in that building, you probably lost your hearing, because when Ray went up to Dominic and leveled him, I got to tell you, that building just, you could tell if it had a roof, not to sound hyperbolic, but if that building had a roof, it would have exploded, because that's how loud that pop was for Rey Mysterio taking out
83,000 views on that one video.
Yep. No, listen, I think on YouTube, it's got like 2 million views. I think on Facebook, I think you're right on that number, D. I think it's up to like you said, 800,000. I don't know what the TikTok, again, I don't subscribe to TikTok. I don't want to give my data away to the Chinese government.
No, sir.
So I don't know what the number was there. I'm sure it was high on Instagram. I know it was high on Twitter. Again, it just beautiful television, the way it was presented, and you saw that. And I think that, SmackDown, it helps being on Fox, certainly. Without a doubt, obviously, it might change a little bit with baseball. Who knows? With whatever's being featured. But again, a story that started being told last summer, last Labor Day weekend in September at Clash of the Castle, to now what ultimately might be just a culmination coming up in just 6 days at WrestleMania between father and son, a first time, arguably in history, that's happened. I think it's
Dusty and Dustin.
I don't think that headlined a pay-per-view per se, but
no,
I don't remember that per se. I know that they teamed up together at the Royal Rumble in '91, but I don't recall Dusty and Dustin ever having some sort of, I could be wrong, Jimmy. You could find that if you can find that. But again, the ratings on SmackDown are going to be strong. We know this Friday it was announced that let me see if I get it right. The Andre the Giant Memorial Invitational Over the Top Rope Battle Royal will be featured on Friday during WrestleMania weekend. We'll see with kind of just a lame Hall of Fame. I think it's like 2 people announced so far. Jesus. Whatever that will take place on Friday. SmackDown keeps doing great numbers. It's beautifully produced television. We've been seeing the culmination of 2 storylines between Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic and the Bloodline, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, the Usos. Again, great television on SmackDown, Pat. No doubt, obviously, with the numbers we just went over. Let's get to our main event topic.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
The Chinese government, if they were to hypothetically get your information, they would have already gotten it a long time ago from all the fucking products that you get from China. Okay? And the fact that you use the internet with them. So why would TikTok suddenly fucking do it? But whatever, that's a whole other discussion for another time. I do, however, have numbers here from WrestleOps. And it said Rey Mysterio finally striking his son Dominic has gained nearly 17 million views across all official WWE-related social platforms. All this being accomplished in only 12 hours. 12 hours! 17 million views. That's impressive, man. That's good storytelling. That's what that is, okay? That's people being interested in something and saying, gee willikers, I better tune in and watch that because it's a gosh darn good story that's going to get me hooked. Stories.
It certainly is. Yeah, the numbers speak for themselves, folks. And again, beautifully produced television. You want to talk about long-term storytelling. I mean, this, again, as I just mentioned right now, it started at Clash of the Castle on Labor Day weekend. It could culminate this weekend at WrestleMania. Folks, our main event for the week here. Let's break down WrestleMania, some predictions here. The only match, at least announced in terms of when it will be taking place on the card, was announced this Monday. WrestleMania Night 1 this Saturday will kick off with the coveted United States Heavyweight Championship being defended by its champion Austin Theory, taking on John Cena in what I think a lot of us are anticipating is going to be a signature win for Austin Theory over John Cena. And I think it's just going to help just skyrocket Austin Theory's wrestling capital.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. if I had to book it, right? If I had to book it, I would book it where Cena goes over Theory, right?
Okay. Interesting.
And Cena goes over on Theory and does the United States Championship Invitational the following night, and Braun Breaker debuts and beats him for the U.S. title, and then we get a feud of Breaker versus Theory. And then at some point, you could bring Cena back, and you can have Theory beat Cena. You know,
Pat, are we assuming that based on that prediction by you for booking that Braun Breaker loses the NXT Championship this Saturday at Stand and Deliver?
I would like to think so, only because I think it's time for him to come to the main roster. I think it's time for him to come up. I think Carmelo Hayes is talented enough to hold that title. Grayson Waller's good enough to feud with Carmelo Hayes and have a main event feud for developmental there. But Breaker has to come up, man. I think Breaker would add something different, something interesting to the main roster. I think he could light up the mid card, and he's somebody I'd like to see. But if I had to really put on like my good Booker cap, my logical Booker cap, I would say that Theory goes over here and gets a big win for himself.
I mean, listen, a great match to kick off night one. At least that's the only match that's been announced in the sense of the order of matches. Let's go to the rest of the card in no particular order here. Obviously, as announced on Friday night, Rey Mysterio finally couldn't take it anymore, stood up for his wife, stood up for his daughter against his evil son, Dominic. It'll be Dominic and Rey, WrestleMania. Not sure which one, night one or night two, but it's been a long build, a beautiful build. I'll tell you something, again, and I know that Dominic is as hot a heel, if not the hottest heel in pro wrestling right now. I would just say, though, dude, I think that, listen, part of why we've always enjoyed watching pro wrestling is it's always happened. Obviously, we know heels have won. But if there's ever been a moment when you want that storybook ending of the dad finally putting his evil son in place, I think this is a chance to give Rey a win. It doesn't hurt Dominic. He's still heel. You can still have Dominic jump him after the bell after Rey wins and lay out his father, and you write his father off television for a while. Dominic remains the despicable heel that he's building himself as. I don't think taking an L on his dad, I think, is the worst thing for Dominic, at least in my opinion.
I think Dom's got to win here, dude. I think the best thing is for Dom to win, only because you got to keep the heat going. I think
you can do that.
I'm not but him getting pinned, that's it. All his shit, his look, everything about him, it's all out the window. It's all out the window. You know what I'm saying? I get the whole storybook thing for Rey and all that shit, the Hall of Fame weekend and beating his son and all that stuff, but I'm not against that if the payoff is going to be that Dom retires. If Dom retires him, then that's all right. That's all right. But for me, I think Dom needs to go over though. I just do, man, because you got to keep the momentum going, dude. You got to keep the momentum going, and he's one of the hottest heels in the company right now. He has legitimate heat. Everywhere he goes, he gets legitimately booed. Like, people do not like Dom Mysterio. And that's a credit to Dom's work. And Rey losing here does nothing for Rey. Like, Rey's okay. Rey's a fucking legend. He's going to come out. People are still going to cheer him. He's still going to be super over. What are you going to put Rey in the main event? You're going to put a fucking title on him now? Come on, man. Like, no.
Pat, I agree. And I think to your point about, hey, Dominic hasn't been pinned yet. Maybe this isn't the time. But again, I just go by the premise of, like, you can still kind of kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, he might take an L, but if he lays out his father, writes him off television, and then at SummerSlam, you have that retirement match. Oh, Rey comes back to get revenge on his son. His son retires him. Again, there's an element of the storybook ending, like, hey, the mom and the daughter are there. They finally get to stick it to their evil son for what he's put their family through.
Nah, man. Nah, man. I'm sorry, man. Like, I just think Dom needs the momentum, dude.
Okay.
Dom's making his name. Ray is a name. Ray will always be a name. Ray's one of the greatest to ever do it. It doesn't matter. Like, he's not going to get less of a pop if he loses to Dom. If anything, I think that as a father, how great is it that you get to put your son over and give him his first real big win? His real big win, okay? You get to be the guy to do that.
Now, listen, all fair
Come
point.
on, man. And Rick comes from a wrestling family, man. It just all adds up. But he could go over. And if he does, then I hope that it's at least some kind of something later. But I don't want to see it happen. I want to see Dom keep going. I want to see the Judgment Day sweep at WrestleMania.
Okay.
I think it's time for the Judgment Day to take the next step up as a stable on TV. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough.
Shout outs to From the Dungeon podcast.
That's it.
Shout outs to. They appreciate the do-rag game.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And again, and fair point. And let's move on to the rest of the Judgment Day. Certainly, for the SmackDown Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley will challenge the 14-time Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Certainly a very different dynamic from 3 years ago, right as the pandemic hit the world and WrestleMania was relegated from Buccaneer Stadium in Tampa to the Performance Center. Charlotte went over in that encounter. I think a lot of people probably were openly saying, listen, it's a great moment for Rhea. She's not ready yet. It would seem 3 years later, Rhea has enhanced her character work. Her promo skills are as good as anybody's in the women's division. I still got to go with Charlotte. I think that the Queen, retains at WrestleMania. Woo! Rhea's going to have, in my opinion, I think that match could be match of the weekend.
Rhea's going over, man. I just think Rhea lost last time. This is Rhea's time. This is a different Rhea. She's better. She's a better talker, a better character. The character work that she's been doing with Dom has been fucking great. And like I said, I think I fully expect the Judgment Day to all completely go over. And I think Rhea is going to win here. And I think Rhea is going to become the leader of the Judgment Day. You know what I'm saying? And that's interesting to have a woman's champion as the leader of a fucking stable. That's something different and something cool.
No, it's certainly
groundbreaking.
You know?
No, listen.
Yeah, man. And that's going to get a lot of attention. It's going to get a lot of fucking attention. So maybe, but that's what I'm thinking for this.
Should be a good match for sure. And rounding out the rest of the Judgment Day, being rumored that WWE might be bringing in Gangrel to assist Edge during the the entrance. It seems like maybe we'll get to see Demon Finn Balor maybe rocking the purple and black. Certainly, it seems like with the whispers of Gangrel joining Edge, maybe a Brood-like entrance for Edge in their, what I would argue is probably the culmination of this feud. It seems to always end in a Hell in a Cell, Finn Balor and Edge. I think, again, the storybook ending. I think after all the despicable things that the Judgment Day have done to Edge, his wife, I think it's been great storytelling, great matches, great character work. I just think that Finn needs the win, I think, to keep the Judgment Day going strongly. My prediction, I don't think he gets it. I think Edge gets the last laugh and gets finally that win in retribution for the way the Judgment Day has treated them since last summer.
Well, I think Finn goes over here. I think we get Demon Finn. I think, again, Edge losing here. He doesn't lose anything. He's not any less of a Hall of Famer. He's not any less of a character or a legend. I think this is great for Edge to put over Finn. And again, I think the Judgment Day, they're gonna sweep here. And I think by the end of the night, we're going to see a theme, and more on that later.
Pat, I mean, obviously, it's not like a policy that's written somewhere, but we've seen that there's been a discouragement of color for some time now on WWE television. Do you think I mean, maybe it's wishful thinking, but do you think that this Hell in a Cell match could use some color between Edge and Finn Balor?
No.
No? Okay.
If it's fake, fine. If it's not, fine. Like, I don't think it's necessary. Not for that product. Stuff like that, I think, is kind of more reserved for niche products now in 2023. It seems.
Yeah.
So,
AEW.
I just feel, listen, maybe just to sort of swerve us and surprise us, a little color in a Hell in a Cell match would not be the end of the world, but I get it. I guess right now,
there'll be plenty of colors, but there won't be the one, and at least not the one you're looking for here. And I just think it doesn't take anything away from this match. It doesn't make it any less of an interesting encounter between two top talents, and it doesn't make Edge any less of a Hall of Famer at all.
No, certainly. Absolutely. In a match where, quite honestly, I mean, it's just giving a lot of guys on the roster a chance to showcase their skills at WrestleMania weekend, obviously. In a fatal four-way showcase match, the Viking Raiders will take on Alpha Academy, the Street Profits, along with Braun Strowman and Ricochet. I got to tell you, man, listen, we all know it. We'll get to the tag title match and why that's significant in a moment. But I know a lot of marks online are complaining, oh, why are we getting this? It's a fatal four-way. For what? It's not even like a number one contenders match. It's not being billed that way. I think you have guys that are very talented in this match. You don't want to keep them in the back. You want to put them out there. Guys like Montez Ford with the Street Profits, Alpha Academy. I love Chad Gable, fellow academic. I love, listen, for better or worse, they keep putting the Viking Raiders out there. They're an attraction. They're good workers. Ricochet is exciting. Braun Strowman's a commodity. You have to do something with these guys. If you're not breaking up the tag titles, you have to showcase these guys, and I think this is a good example of it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Some fans will just complain, but these guys are all talented professionals, and they're getting their spotlight, they're getting their shine, they're getting the moment at the biggest show of the year. Fair play to them. I don't think that these guys are going to go in there with the intention of putting in anything less than a top-level shift. So I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm sorry, Pat. Shout out to Alex Storyworld. They don't even care about Ricochet. Oh, that popped me. Oh my God.
They don't care about Ricochet. He's on TV. He's with Braun Strowman. They're doing good stuff together. You know what,
Alex? Well, Alex is wrong.
Sorry if that's how he feels. Sorry if that's how he feels. But right now, what he's. Mm-hmm.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Alex isn't wrong.
He's not right either. I mean, it's just like you sign with the company, you're gonna get used how they want you to get used. That's it. That's what it boils down to. Fans don't have to like it. They could complain about it all they want. They're gonna complain about it, but they're gonna still keep watching. So hey, I'm glad everybody's enjoying it one way or another.
Definitely a fatal four-way match. I think that'll be interesting.
I don't think Ricochet is complaining. I don't think Ricochet is like walking around backstage all grumpy, like, I'm not being used right. They're wasting me here. No, Ricochet is like, I'm teaming with fucking Braun Strowman, who's the top merch seller. I'm in a match with a bunch of other good workers at WrestleMania that has potential to be exciting. And oh shit, I'm Ricochet. I'm really talented and athletic, and I could do stuff that's going to be memorable. So enjoy.
And also, very importantly, he's also engaged to Samantha Irvin, arguably the best ring announcer on the planet. So I'll put that out there because I love her. I love her intros. In the women's division showcase match, Liv Morgan will team up with Raquel Rodriguez. They'll take on Natalya and Shotzi, as well as Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. A fourth team is to be announced. We don't know yet. We'll see. I'm sure, obviously, this Friday on SmackDown, we'll see what that final four team will be. Again, another opportunity for a lot of girls in this match that, because of what's going on with the women's division and the titles respectively, give them time on the air. Give them time during WrestleMania weekend. I don't think it's a bad thing. Obviously, I know marks are like, well, they're not defending the women's tag titles at Mania. Guess what? It's a showcase for these talented girls to go out there and make an impression. And I think that, again, like the men, it's not going to be just phoning it in. I think you're going to see a really good match here too.
Just to let you know, Shotzi and Natty Hart are looking for a new tag name on Instagram.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. I think that anybody that goes out there at WrestleMania is going to go out there. They're going to put on the best show possible. So that's what we can 100% expect here.
No, absolutely. For the coveted Intercontinental Championship, Gunther will defend against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and what I would argue will probably be the leading candidate for the beat the shit out of each other match for the weekend between these three guys. Listen, I love Gunther. I love Imperium. I love them. I'd like to see them get a push for the tag titles. I love Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. I love that. Gunther has been a guy that I have to say got himself in shape, continues to do very well with his character work, his promos. Don't be surprised, folks, at some point later this year, if not by next WrestleMania, in the shithole of North America, which is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that Gunther could be main eventing WrestleMania, bro. I'm telling you, this guy's got the goods.
Dude, he's 100% talented. He's in there with dudes like Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. They can all beat the shit out of each other. This is going to be an awesome match. It's going to be super stiff. And Gunther could go over here. Gunther could take that next step in his career. We could see that. I'd like to see it personally, but all in all, this is going to be a match that I think has potential to steal the show.
Absolutely. Another match that could potentially steal the show. And again, we don't know what night it's on. A little intrigue as to the match orders, obviously, for night 1 and 2. Becky Lynch and Lita, the reigning and defending women's tag team champions, will team up with Hall of Famer Trish Stratus. By the way, my goodness, Trish in her late 40s, just looking like the MILF of the year. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. They'll take on Damage Control. My girl, Io Sky. Believe me, if I ever wanted my wages garnished and a custody visitation agreement being drawn up by a lawyer, yeah, take my money right now with Io Sky as far as I'm concerned. She'll be teaming with Dakota Kai and Bayley. Great matchup, a lot of intrigue, a lot of great storytelling and build up into this match. I just kind of get the sense maybe Trish turns on him after getting jumped recently. And let's be honest, Damage Control lately has been a little flat. You know, Bayley's not for me. She never has been as a face and even more as a heel with her, lunch lady suspenders. But Damage Control needs to win here, and I think they're going to get it.
Yeah, I think you could see that. And good for the girls. They're going to be able to work with some legends. And good for the legends to be able to come back to make some money, get some visibility with a new audience. And, I think this is going to be a fun match. It's going to have a little bit of nostalgia in it. And, good for Bayley, good for Becky, good for all the girls involved that they get to work with Trish and Lita. That's awesome.
Another match that's interesting, and we all know, folks, again, if you've been watching wrestling as long as we have, we know that celebrity appearances have really been tied to the fabric of WrestleMania, going back to March 31st, 1985, where Vince got Billy Martin, the late, great Billy Martin, God rest his soul, New York's #1 manager, Muhammad Ali, obviously Liberace. We know that celebrities have been a fixture in WrestleMania for as long as we can remember, and this year's no exception, obviously, with Logan Paul taking on Seth Rollins, a match I think that's going to have a lot of spots in it. We know Seth Rollins arguably is probably the best worker right now in pro wrestling. I think it's hard to find a better worker than Seth. Again, never mind his character work, which has grown infinitely better than it was as the Messiah, per se. But I would say that this match, I think, listen, Logan Paul has come along quite well in his short time in WWE, in the amount of matches that he's been involved in. Again, wins and losses don't matter because Seth Rollins has been putting on good matches forever. It just seems that the way Logan Paul's gotten the better of him, I kind of get the sense Seth gets a win.
Yeah, I would like to think that too. I think that this is a match where Logan Paul doesn't really get hurt losing here. Logan Paul, every time he comes around, he's a fucking heat magnet. It works out really, really well for them. And Seth is a really, really top talent on his game right now. I think that this is a guy that is going to bring out the most out of Logan Paul that I think we've seen. And I expect this match to be another one, man, a sleeper match, man, because people just think it's going to be all spots. He's going to hit all this shit, and that's that. But I think that they're going to get very, very creative here. And Logan Paul's a dude, man, like he's just grasped the business so well. He understands what it is. He understands the little things to get heat. And this is a match, man, that gets a lot of attention, a lot of interaction. And this is exactly what, you want for an event this magnitude.
No, absolutely. It should be a good match. Maybe a match of the year candidate for sure. Brock Lesnar taking on Omos. We've seen a lot of reports in recent months about what Brock Lesnar was supposed to be doing, whether he's kind of winding down his career in pro wrestling. We know that at Elimination Chamber with Bobby Lashley, it seems like that feud was never really settled per se. There's been a lot of conjecture about, well, who do we want to work with, Brock Lesnar for WrestleMania? Who do we want with Bobby Lashley? Apparently, there was some reports that Bray Wyatt was supposed to be paired up with Lesnar. Again, the marks will speculate online. These journalists will speculate online that Brock Lesnar didn't want to work with Wyatt. So apparently it's Brock Lesnar and Omos. It's funny from a guy 2 years ago that was headlining Mania with AJ Styles defending the tag team championships. For whatever reason, I can't really put my finger on it, man, about what's gone wrong with Omos. But this is a guy, again, who was prominently featured defending the tag titles with AJ 2 years ago. And, obviously the WrestleMania after the pandemic in Tampa. It just seems he's kind of like been, wallowing around a little bit per se. A mark name like Brock Lesnar, good match. There's some intrigue here about Lesnar getting him up. Maybe I think Lesnar needs to win, but I think a lot of fans are sour on this match because just for whatever reason, yes, the marks will complain about anything, but it just seems like maybe this is the one last chance to kind of prominently push Omos in a main event type of atmosphere.
I don't know if it's going to be so much for like a main event type of thing. This seems like an attraction match. Omos, it seems like it's just been a rough go with him. And, I think a lot of the guys backstage like him. A lot of the older guys like him. The bigger older guys like him. So, I can understand like why this is happening. From what we heard from Billy Body, Brock didn't want to work with Bray Wyatt. So this match kind of came about because of that, but more on that later. It just seems like this is an attraction match. This is something, again, to get views, to get interest. You know what I'm saying? You got a guy like Brock Lesnar and a dude, and very rarely are there guys that are bigger than Brock Lesnar. I mean, in terms of like overall fucking size, musculature, height, all these things, And here comes this dude, Omos, he's dwarfing him. And now casuals and a lot of other people, they're going to want to watch that shit. So again, more of the same old that we're seeing here from WWE and what they're doing and how they're promoting WrestleMania. This is another attraction match to get people interested.
Absolutely. I think it'll be interesting. Lesnar doesn't need the win per se, but it wouldn't shock me if Lesnar goes over. The way that it seems like Omos has been punking him out a little bit lately. We'll see at the weigh-in tomorrow on Raw what happens. Again, wrestling fans get the sense of, oh, well, this guy's getting the best of the other guy for a while. Maybe the other guy gets his heat back at the pay-per-view. We'll see it at the PLE, excuse me. We'll find out. For the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, a building storyline for really for 2.5 years, but quite frankly, obviously not in the last calendar year, the Usos will defend against the team of, who knows, maybe they'll call themselves WrestleZania and KO Mania. I don't know. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, from working gymnasiums in Canada to working buildings in Ring of Honor to NXT. Now they're arguably going to be probably one of the top main attractions this weekend. I'd be shocked if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn do not walk out of Los Angeles, the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions.
Well, this is a great attraction match. You know what? Some people out there could argue that this could be the main event of night one, and I agree. I think it's good enough to be a main event of night one. Obviously, there's, other things going on with the company. We don't know. But this has been something that has just been building for so long, that has been so good. It has really been one of the major highlights of the programming, that whole bloodline angle, not just Roman Reigns, everything else that's been going on. It's been top-notch television. And this is going to be, in my opinion, a great payoff for one of the best angles, one of the best storylines in the history of the business. And I expect Generico and Steen, as I like to refer to them, to walk away with the tag team championship. It should be a hell of a fucking match.
It should be, again, another match of the year candidate for sure. For the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair will take on the challenge of Asuka, a very different Asuka than the one that challenged for the Women's Championship 5 years ago in New Orleans at WrestleMania after just winning the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. Very different Asuka, a more sinister look to Asuka. Listen, Bianca Belair, I have to admit, has won me over. I still don't like the gimmick. I don't like the skipping around like it's Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail, twirling the hair around. Not for me, but I get it, why she's inspiring, why she's empowering young women to get involved in pro wrestling. Hell of an athlete. Gotten better on the microphone. It's fine. But I have to say that, Asuka, she hasn't been wallowing, but I would say that it's been a while since she's had a title. It wouldn't kill Bianca to take an L here against this sort of more sinister, evil Asuka. I wouldn't be surprised to see Asuka with a little chicanery, using some mist to pick up the win.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think it would be interesting for them to turn Bianca heel. That would be something. Something new, something fresh that we haven't seen.
Asuka the heel? But isn't Asuka the heel?
Asuka is not the heel necessarily. Asuka is really the closest that fans can get behind to rooting against Bianca. That's what it seems like. Because everybody else that they put her up against, Bianca's just they've cheered her more. But in this case, there's a little division there, because you have the Asuka fans and you have the Bianca fans. Both are tremendously talented. This is another match that I think could be match of the year. And I don't know, man. I mean, it wouldn't hurt Asuka to go over here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bianca retained. I don't know. I'm kind of split on this one.
Well, I'll say this. I think it's, again, going to be a good match. Bianca's had the title for quite some time. I think almost a full calendar year, if not more. It'll be interesting. I think it'll be very interesting to see where they go with this. And a heel turn would not surprise anybody. In the main event and a match that has been building for quite some time, Roman Reigns, the undisputed Universal Champion, approaching now actually at 937 days as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion, will take on the winner of the 2023 Royal Rumble, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I've been saying it for a while on my wrestling chat. D can testify to this. I've been saying it to my group chat with my friends from grad school. Anyone who hits me up about wrestling, I just get this sense that from a marketing perspective, a 1,000-day T-shirt would sell like hotcakes. I think the way they've been booking Cody has been strong. Even when there was a potential for fans to hijack Raw and SmackDowns with Sammy, Paul has stuck to his guns. He's kept Cody Rhodes strong, cut a hell of a promo recently, has come out. His pop is as good as anybody's in the business right now. And I just got to say that it seems like Cody's been getting over on him. It seems like he hasn't lost since coming back. There have been some moments during the promos that Reigns has been humbled a little bit. You see a little bit of friction in the bloodline. I got to tell you, my prediction here, because of the marketing potential of 1,000 days and counting, because of the fact that Cody's just been booked so strong, I get a sense that in LA might be a bit of a buzzkill. We've seen Roman Reigns standing tall over his vanquished foes for 2 WrestleManias now. Okay, over Edge and Daniel Bryan, over Brock Lesnar. You might see the tribal chief standing supreme once again with 1,000 days and counting. I think Roman Reigns is going over.
All right. So here's my question. What do you think's the payoff after that? If Roman Reigns goes over, what's the payoff?
Cody can win the briefcase in London, challenge Roman at SummerSlam in Detroit, and get his heat back, get his revenge, and get his win back against Roman. I don't see anything wrong with that. Again, it's the optic of Roman Reigns, the heat it would get of him once again. And I would do it clean.
Man.
I would do it with the Usos album solo. I think just a clean win would drive the mark crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I have to disagree here, man.
Okay.
Cody Rhodes is not as hot as he's ever gonna be right now. Okay, you need to strike while the iron's hot. More importantly, the bloodline, Roman, this whole thing, it runs the risk of going really, really, really stale if Roman goes over here. Okay, and here's the thing. Okay, if Roman does go over, what's the payoff? What, you bringing in Rocky? You really definitely gonna fucking bring in Rocky this time? You're gonna bring in Rocky at fucking SummerSlam? You're gonna bring in Rocky fucking for next year's WrestleMania? Because there has to be a payoff that is bigger and better than Cody Rhodes going over and that whole story. Okay, and here's another thing too. A big part of the people that are watching this to see Cody Rhodes go over are the people that switched over to AEW. The people that got tired of WWE. They got tired of Vince. They got tired of him not catering to what they like. Okay? So there's a lot riding on this. Okay? And there's also talent that are looking at this from AEW whose contracts are coming up that are saying to themselves, should I go over there? Should I give it a shot? Will they push me? Will they do something different with me than maybe the other people did in the past? You know, there's a lot riding on this. And more importantly, I just think that if the bloodline angle goes on any further, it runs the risk of getting really stale. I understand the 1,000-day marketing and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. Their shirts are going to sell no matter what, dude. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Cody Rhodes is not going to be as hot as he is now. Cody Rhodes beat Seth Rollins 3 times in a row, okay, and got injured, came back, won the Rumble, won a bunch of matches and everything since then, and now he's going against fucking Roman, dude. This is the best challenger to put against him. If Roman's taking time off, put the belt on Cody. Cody checks off all the boxes. I got to be honest, man. What payoff are you going to have that's going to be better if Roman goes over? Pat,
again, and it's only rumor and conjecture, but apparently it's being reported that next month in Puerto Rico during Backlash that it's going to be Reigns and the Usos teaming up against Cody and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now, again, who's holding titles, I don't know. But if that's supposedly what's being not promoted, but that's the rumor main event for Backlash in Puerto Rico next month, it just makes me think that, hey, I think Roman retains. You know, I just think it retains.
Nah, man. Card's subject to change, too. That's another thing.
Fair enough.
You know, you always have to take that into consideration. But, you know, obviously all 6 of those guys are top stars. So if you promote them anywhere, people are going to buy tickets based on that. You know, the card by the time you get there could be completely different. But regardless of that, man, I'm sorry. I mean, unless you're bringing in Rocky, what else do you have up your sleeve that's going to be bigger than Cody Rhodes going over on Roman? That's the biggest story you could get. This is the moment to do it. And if you don't do it now, you certainly run the risk of this bloodline storyline and Roman kind of becoming stale. You know, it's been a long time. He's been around a while. Let's give it to Cody. Let's give it to somebody different. Cody as a champion opens up all the possibilities to different things. We also don't know who's coming back at the Raw after WrestleMania. There's a lot to consider. And I just think shuffling things up, giving it a new look, moving forward, seeing what we come up with instead of just kind of the same thing, I think it's the best way to go, man. You know, let's end it on a high note. Let's end the bloodline on a high note. Let's have the Judgment Day come up at WrestleMania. Things kind of switch. It doesn't hurt the bloodline. It elevates the Judgment Day. Now we have a lot more people to play with in the bigger picture.
No, you're right. And I think that, I have to disagree, though. I think that there's still potential to bring in Jacob Fatu, maybe Rikishi get involved. There's still some.
But you can do that without the titles, though. You could do that without the titles. You don't need the titles to do that. You don't. You do not need the titles to do that. That's going to be compelling television because of those characters that are on there. You've established them as compelling characters with the programming that you've had in the subsequent 2 years. Why not? Why not? Add it up, do something different, but put those title belts on different guys so that people can rally behind different guys. Let's run with it. Let's see where we go, man. You know?
Listen, it's going to be compelling this coming weekend, folks. On Peacock, obviously it'll be available on regular traditional pay-per-view. I'm sure $50 or more probably. But if you subscribe to $5 a month for Peacock, you'll get to watch it this Saturday and Sunday. Obviously the Marquee Premium Live event. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a pool. The over/under how many ads we have to watch during a live PLE for WrestleMania weekend. So we'll find out. But this Saturday, April 1st, Sunday, April 2nd.
Already, get a new shtick. It's getting a little bit tired. It's getting a little bit tired. Every week, you're coming on here, you're crying. All you do is cry, okay?
What's getting tired is taking an extra hour to watch a show because there's a million ads. That's tiring.
Update your fucking subscription. It's not quantum physics, dude. It's simple.
I got a lot of expenses.
Well, then cut back. Stop going to cowboy bars. Stop going out every weekend trying to court the scene, looking for the next floozy to whisper your sweet words in their ears. You know what I mean? Stop doing that. Scale back, update your subscription. And then that way, we as listeners and as co-hosts on this show don't have to hear your endless bitching about Peacock.
Wow.
Okay?
To be determined.
People going crazy over here listening to this stuff. It's unbelievable, man. All right? I got to cut out of here. Let's finish this up already. Enough with this.
All right, folks, on this day in wrestling history, March the 26th, back in 1981, Earthquake kayfabed the death of Damien, the pet python of Dick the Stick Roberts, on a taping of WWF Superstars. Obviously, we've learned over the years about the bags being switched. I don't think a segment that will go over well today, especially with how influential PETA is. People for the ethical treatment of animals. I think that would go over very well today, but it did go over well on this day in 1991. Another important day here on this date, March the 26th, 2001, on the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw, right before WrestleMania, Vince McMahon revealed during a live simulcast of the last WCW Monday Nitro that he purchased a WCW and thus ending the Monday Night War, a very memorable moment in pro wrestling history. And certainly, as we continue on here, that's right. And another very important day here, certainly in 2019 on this day, Charlotte Flair defeated Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship from Uncasville, Connecticut. What was very interesting is also this was on the same show, Big E and Xavier Woods helped Kofi get his title shot coming up against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And of course, on this day in 2020, the second day of WrestleMania, and the tapings took place at the Performance Center due to the pandemic and the China virus. Obviously, we all know what a great card that was. All that great stuff going on on this day, March 26th.
What did you say? The China virus?
The pandemic. Yeah, the China virus. Yeah.
COVID-19, the China virus? Save that shit for your other show, bro. Save that shit for your other show, yo. Don't associate me with your shit, all right? Stop trying to associate me with your shit, all right? I don't want to be a part of that. That's great. That's fine and dandy you feel that way, but you got another fucking program to do that on, bruh.
Well, I understand that. Let me just add that in there, But all that good stuff going
like
on
this
day
shit.
In pro wrestling history.
You looking like Hans Gruber, bro. I love it. Hans Gruber, yo.
That's it. Before we call it a week here, what to look out for coming up?
Well, obviously, you got to look out for a lot of things. You got to look out when you're crossing the street. You got to take care of yourself, well-balanced diet, do a couple of squats, maybe exercise. Try not to get too messed up during the week. Go to work on time, have a good attitude. And stop complaining about wrestling. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch it. You know what I'm saying? If you're into fucking, sadomasochism, that's fine. I get it. But, just, I'm going to look the other way. I don't want to fucking listen to them, But check out the child actors. We're coming Cinco de Mayo. Us, I Destroyer. We're playing with Locaine and Chaotician. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. I fuck up all these gimmicks. I don't have it in front of me right now. But, yeah, man, just keep on keeping on. Life's a garden. I wanted to share a story with you when I was a kid. Because when I was growing up, I used to take the bus to school, and I had these braces on my legs. And, there was this girl that I knew from my neighborhood. Her name was Jenny. And we used to go to school together and stuff like that. And I went to school, I got picked on because I had the braces on my legs. And then, one day, me and Jenny, we was walking home, and a bunch of kids, they showed up, and it's hard to talk about. I'm sorry. They started abusing me, and I started running. I had to run. I had to get away. And Jenny just kept telling me, "Run, Patrick, run." And I started running. And I just kept going, and then all of a sudden, the braces on my knees exploded and they broke off, and I was able to run. And then, I stopped running from a limp, and I just kept running. And then next thing you know, I got away from these kids, and then there was this changeover scene where I got older, and I was running on them, And then Jenny, she got older, and she was still telling me, "Run, Patrick, run." But anyways, I ended up going to joining the military and stuff like that, fought in the Vietnam War, got to meet, I had to go pee. But, I'm not going to get into myself on this show. I appreciate you guys listening. Check me out. Don't message me on Patty Rican. I'm not going to fucking reply. Don't send any nudes. No OnlyFans. No pyramid schemes. No Bitcoin. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm just going to close the device, and I'm going to leave now. Fernando, you can do your political spiel. I don't want any part of it. He and I do not hang out. All right. He and I, this guy or whatever he is, we don't hang out. Sometimes we go to Devils games, but that's it. But I'm not associated with it. All right. Anyways, thank you so much. Bless you all, even though you didn't sneeze. Keep it real in the field. All right. Peace out.
Love you, Pat. Folks, again, keep an eye out for me tomorrow night on Real Talk via Jersey Versus TV. I'll have State Senate candidate Michelle Turon tomorrow night live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Tuesday night, a special Tuesday night edition of Real Talk as Matt Rooney, the editor of Save Jersey, arguably New Jersey's leading conservative political news website, will join me at a special 8 p.m. start time on Tuesday. So double duty this week on Jersey First TV with Real Talk. So you definitely want to check that out this week, folks. Always shoot us an email, workingthemarks@gmail.com. Of course, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Like us on Facebook. Sharing is caring, folks. Share our episodes. Of course, wherever you go, download it. Wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Download Working the Marks and take it with you, whether you're walking your dog, going to your side chick's house, wherever. Download it, listen to it, watch it, and keep supporting us every week here on Famcast Media. He's off the screen now, but he is New Jersey's premier wrestling analyst, certainly the glorious, the notorious, the illustrious PBR superstar Patrick Rivera. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist and the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State Media. Yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe, folks. Shout out to D-Ron, our amazing executive producer here on the program. And we'll see you next week. Well, actually, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Next weekend is Wrestlemania weekend. We will not have a show. We'll put out some content out there, our reviews or our thoughts about what's going on. But folks, enjoy WrestleMania 39, emanating live from SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, night 1 and 2 next weekend, folks, on Peacock. Enjoy it. And as always, thank you so much for watching Working the Marks here with Famcast Media.
Famcast Media. Bitch. Famcast Media.